2, 1. Morning, all. We are letting everybody in here. Good to see everybody. Keep an eye on the waiting room as things get going, but I'm going to go ahead and start our meeting. Nick, please monitor, or Diana, please monitor the waiting room, get everybody in. Everybody say good morning to make sure we got sound and lights and all that sort of thing. Oop, there we go. Okay. All right. Well, morning, everybody. Thanks for being here. So welcome all to our April VUSD Special Education District Advisory Committee meeting. We're, as per usual, we're doing it on Zoom and streaming on YouTube. And so for our YouTube folks that may be wondering what this is all about, quick little bit of background. So our SEDAC is an advisory committee that contributes parent voice and feedback to the work that the district does through collaboration among parents that you see here, school sites, and district administration, which helps to inform the development of practices to meet the needs of all learners. Also by providing the community with the insight into the special education process and broadening the awareness of available resources for our families. Our site representatives that you see here have a stake in sharing of information with their school communities in order to foster district-wide connectedness. So people are trickling in. It's great to see everybody. I know I've been away for a while. I've missed you all, and it's wonderful to be back with you. So why don't we turn it over to Mr. Vlahos to take us through our Pledge of Allegiance, and then we'll get started.
Yeah, if everybody could stand, please. All right. Salute. Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Put my screen back together here. Great. Thanks very much. Ms. Montez, quick roll call. Let's say good morning and acknowledge all our people that are here with us today.
Good morning. Yes, we'll start with Balboa, representative and alternate, I'm sorry.
Alternate present.
Good morning. Buena.
Here.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Cabrillo. Okay, and then Citrus Glen.
I'm here. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. And we'll move on to data. And EIC.
Present.
Good morning. Good morning. She's our new member. Elmhurst representative.
Here. Hi, I'm here.
Good morning. And alternate. I think I see you.
I'm here. Sorry, I said it the first time.
Okay, good morning. And then EP Foster. Okay, we'll move on to Foothill.
Present.
Good morning. And then Jay Sarah.
I'm here.
Good morning.
Morning.
Juana Maria.
I'm here. Good morning.
Good morning. And then Lemon Grove representative. Okay, and the alternate for Lemon Grove as well. And I see you, Dora. I'll count data here.
Sort of compromise, then.
Hi, this is Dora.
Hi. And then we'll move on to Pierpont. Poinsettia.
Hi, everyone.
Good morning. Portola. Sunset.
Good morning.
Good morning. Ventura. Will Rogers.
Good morning.
Good morning. And School Board Representative Sabrina Rodriguez. Okay, that's everybody.
Okay, and as usual with our group, some folks may be on their way in, so we will press on and welcome them as they come. First big welcome to our EIC parent, Crystal, who is joining us for the first time, and we're very excited, and we're almost fully represented. Very exciting. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's an honor.
Pleasure. Leslie, are you actually in the mountains in the snow, or is that just a background?
That's just a background. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. All right, so before we get started, I need to share a little bit of information with you, and people are coming in. As you may or may not have heard, while we will be finishing this school year together, I will not be rejoining you for the next school year. I've decided to take a position closer to home to be able to try to spend a little more time with my family as my oldest kiddo starts high school. Help, please, someone help me. So, you know, things are beginning to change for us, and it's important for me to be a little bit closer to home. And as you know, the SEDAC is not something that every district does. And it's something that I'm very proud of because it's something that I've always believed in, I've always promoted and always done. And to have had an opportunity to do it here with you in Ventura has been, I've derived a lot of value from that, and I really appreciate it. So, though it's uncertain at this time who will take over this role, I can say with confidence that VUSD will be in good hands with Dr. Vega Manriquez coming aboard as the Deputy Director of Special Education in July. And we will continue to update, but good news or not so good news or ambivalent news is that you're all stuck with me until June. I'm not leaving anytime before that. So we will have, we have our meeting today, and then we will have our culminating meeting for this year in May. And then when we reconvene in the fall, we will have some new faces to welcome and join. So truly, though, I thank you all for helping to build this committee and alongside us at the district up until this point. It's been a situation that, as you can, those of you who have been here since the beginning, like Ashley and Kim and and Dora and our other folks, we've really had to grind it out up to this point, because you'll recall we got started and then all of a sudden the world changed on us, and it changed, in a lot of ways, kind of irrevocably forever. But we managed to hang in there and make it through, and we're emerging from all of that, and we can finally, as a committee, start to really get to some good work. So I just wanted to thank you all. Okay, so
Also, Marcus,
go ahead.
I want to say thank you for starting this committee. I don't think that any of us really had the idea, or maybe you did, but I don't think any of us knew like how much communication we would be able to have, and really how much could get done by us coming together in the district. So I just want to say, thank you for taking those steps to, create this. And I know sometimes we've come down kind of hard in the meeting, and there's been a lot of things that have happened, but none of it would have happened if this committee didn't exist, and we definitely do owe that to you. So thank you for that.
I appreciate that, Ashley. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Marcus. Thank you for, we hope to continue, but I agree. Grateful to have the platform.
Thanks, Kim. Okay. All right. Well, I can't exactly see everybody because I only have half of my screen working for some reason. But if anyone else would like to say anything or has any questions, feel free to, as always, feel free to unmute and weigh in. In the meantime, I think we'll go a little out of order this morning. Our agenda has first outstanding items from previous meetings and then some questions that were submitted. But I think that those outstanding items kind of will fold into the questions. So why don't we'll start with that. And then if anything else is left unaddressed, we can talk about it after that. So earlier this month, our SEDAC members provided some questions that they would like some information on. So we took our time to compile those in no particular order. And so what I'll do is go through them and read them and provide some information. And of course we can discuss and that sort of thing. So first question that we received, or first question on our list, I should say, is can we ensure that our paraprofessionals have information regarding their students prior to the start of the school year? And the answer to that is yes. Our goal is to fill, as you've discussed, as I've watched you discuss, as I rewatched the meetings afterwards, the ones that I haven't been able to attend, staffing has been a major challenge, not just in this year, not just in our paraprofessional ranks, but across the board, across the community, across the city, across the county, across the nation. So things are getting better. Our goal is to have all open positions filled by the end of July or early August latest, so that we can be through the hiring process, and so folks can receive training and be ready to report to work the day before school starts, ideally during that beginning school staffing time. When school's starting, district and teachers and everybody meet for pre-service days to just get ready, and we want to be able to have our paraprofessionals all hired and in place, and those who are returning all in place, and be able to participate in those pre-service days, so that that collaboration, that pre-briefing, that getting ready, that getting to know the kids, planning with teachers and things like that can occur. And we're working multi-departmentally on that. And I can add some more information regarding our efforts this year with respect to that later on here. And then also at that time, the expectations of the job assignment could be clearly outlined and provided, and whatever additional trainings may be needed, we can access that time. So that's our plan. That's always our plan. And this year was particularly challenging, but that's something we're aware of, and we have set goals in order to achieve that. Any thoughts or further feelings on that? Rachel and Laura, go ahead, Rachel.
Sorry, I'm just wondering, the information that we're referring to, was that like accommodation information, IEP information, behavior plan information, or is this information that is about that individual child, but outside of the scope of what might be written down in those documents, perhaps information that parents have that wouldn't be outlined in any of those school-based documents?
Yeah, it certainly would obviously include the most relevant information. I mean, the most pertinent information listed in the IEPs, right? So like you described, accommodation implementation, behavior plan strategies, reactive strategies, and other supports, but also any additional information, because there's those items, but there's also the instructional components that the teachers will require assistance with in order to maintain instructional flow in the class and that sort of thing. But then also whatever additional pertinent information that's specific to an individual child that paraprofessional may be tasked with. Now, keep in mind there's a range of type of paraprofessionals. So there's paraprofessionals that are classroom instructional aides that are for the whole class. Then, as many know, there are paraprofessionals that are what's termed IIS, right? So too early, not enough coffee. I'll stick with the acronym for now. It'll come to me in the course, and we'll get there. But who essentially are one-to-ones, right? Assigned to an individual child to support them directly as in light of their individual needs. So in that respect, it only makes sense to have as much information available and you know, have people aware of that information as needed. So long answer to an easy question, which is yes, that would be part of that too.
Can I ask just a follow-up to that? I'm new to the para world, but I know there are a lot of parents here that are not. And I think one of the questions that has come up several times is how, as parents, do we provide that information to the paras when we're not permitted direct contact with them? I think that's come up a lot, that especially for kids who are minimally verbal or nonverbal, especially at the beginning of the school year when we may not have a rapport with the teachers. What would be the appropriate process to provide that information?
Well, clearly there's obviously the IEP meetings, but those, you know, happen at various intervals throughout. So that's not exactly something that is, you know, able to be done right at the beginning of the year. But the first is always working through the teachers, but there's this misunderstanding that people aren't allowed to talk to paraprofessionals, and that's not accurate. When it comes down to talking to paraprofessionals, when it comes down to talking about, you know, specific IEP items, very technical things, and all like that, our paraprofessionals are not necessarily fully equipped to address that. But when it comes to items like, hey, these are things to look out for. These are things, or strategies that have worked for me in the home. How did, you know, he or she do today? How did things go? You know, those types of things are allowed. Now but you're asking about access, and some of the things that we're trying to work on is building into our structure the ability to have those kinds of collaborations and just informal meetings and things like that. The issue with that is that many of our support staff are not yet scheduled and assigned in a way that they have that flexibility to meet before school or after school or things like that. But that's an issue we're aware of and working on, because we want to be able to facilitate this, because, you know, it's that it takes everybody to get this thing right, kind of thing. So we're aware of that and trying to make progress in that area.
All right, I'm just going to do one follow-up and then let everyone else talk. But I would just encourage administration, so coming from you guys directly, that exact information needs to be disseminated to the school sites, because the principals and the teachers and the counselors and the SAI teachers do not know that information. And as far as they're concerned, we do not, like, I had to pull teeth just to get the name of the para. I have no contact with her. I don't have an email address, nothing. And that's because the school sites provide that information. So if we are allowed to have that, then either the school sites don't know that, or the school sites don't want us as parents to have that access. So I would just encourage that information to be shared with the school sites, because there's a lot of resistance. And if that's true, then I think that's one reason why a lot of parents are so frustrated, because we're hearing one thing from the administration at the district level and another thing from the school sites, and they don't match up.
Yeah,
so
no,
I'm going to pass it off to others, but I would just encourage you to do that.
I hear what you're saying, and to be clear, it's, personal contact information isn't going to be given, because that's not fair, and that's not something that we're able to do. But establishing a structure and parameters for it, and to your point, that's uniformed across the district so that everybody's on the same page in order for these types of conversations to occur, is what we're working to build. And it's, apparently not been in place for many, many years, and I've become aware of it, and it's a priority of ours. So I forgot who I said was next. Laura?
So that kind of touched on everything that I was going to talk about, just making sure that they're invited to the IEP meetings. I do think like a meet your teacher day would be really cool for the parents who want to attend it for their kids. And something that also came to mind as I was just listening to everything is like, maybe if the kid's going to go to the same school and the paras are going to be working in the next grade's classroom, maybe the teachers can have like a end of the school, like, hey, this is going to be your new setting. And so that might facilitate some of that.
Yeah, that's a good idea. We'll see how we can try to put that in place. Lisa?
Hi. Yeah, I was just wondering if it's appropriate, and something I know I've done in the past is for an individual parent on the first day of school, just kind of write out some of the pertinent information I think they need to know. And I think that she's really appreciated it too, the parent, just instead of going in blind with my child. Mm-hmm. So I've just kind of made like basically a list, like a bullet pointed list of what she needs to know. And this is a part I don't know if it's appropriate, but I've put my contact info on there if they need to contact me, and they have. So I don't know what the rule is there, but so I didn't have her info, but if she needed to call me or text me, she was able to. And that's worked for us. And maybe something, if that is an okay thing, just letting parents know, like, you are allowed to send letters and send them with your student on the first day of school so the parent can have that. So for the parent's peace of mind, that you just know that that info is in her hands or his hands if she needs it to refer back to. And I know that the parents I've worked with have appreciated it because they're not going in so blind. They have like a key, like some calming things, some pertinent information I thought was necessary for them to know for my child. And it's worked well just to ease my anxieties. So
I hear you. And you know what is you're kind of touching on there is the clarity is kindness kind of thing, right? Is providing as much information to our people that are working directly with our kids so that they know what to do and they feel equipped. And that's, you know, like we talked about a moment ago, that's part of our goal is to get people in place as early as possible so that we can take the time to provide that sort of thing. And we'll talk more about the types of trainings that we've already done for our paraprofessionals and what we have ongoing in a minute. But yeah, no, I hear what you're saying, and I agree. Okay. So we talked about another question was, can we facilitate meetings with parents to make sure everyone is on the same team? We kind of talked about that there. Question was just how the questions verbatim is, how are they, being the parents, vetted and trained before interacting with our students? And that's a great question because it's important to know the skills and aptitudes of the folks that are supporting our teachers and supporting our students. So each applicant has to meet the ESSA requirements. That's the Every Student Succeeds Act requirement. It's a federal act, which are 48 college units, or they need to pass a proficiency test, which is equivalent to the California high school exit exam, which, as we know, no longer exists. But those types of criteria, which, you know, and that's to ensure that they can provide instructional support, because as we talked about a moment ago, they're not only tasked necessarily with, supporting behaviors or health needs or anything like that, but they're also classroom instructional aides, and they need to be able to be equipped to support the curriculum and instructional delivery. And then in the course of the hiring process, subject matter experts sit on the interview panel. So this is directors, this is BCBAs, this is principals, teachers, and things like that, to ensure that folks do in fact have those skills that are necessary. Phone's ringing, had to hang up on that. Sorry about that, a little distracting. And then we also provide those trainings, right? So the trainings are available at our adult ed center, VACE. And then we, as a department, provide training in ABA techniques, promoting positive student social interactions, verbal de-escalation training, reinforcement and building rapport with students training, and then bridging trauma to resilience in the classroom. That's the actual title of the training, and that's one I really like. And what that's for is how to spot the warning signs of trauma and be able to recognize it in real time in a classroom, because maybe if a student is having a challenging day, it's not just, you know, a routine behavior issue, that there's, you know, underlying drivers, you know, traumas and things like that. And I don't know if you would all agree with what I'm about to say, but I would offer to you for your consideration that as a result of this COVID experience, that, you know, trauma and various residual effects of our experiences are a real thing. And so it was important to me that we develop and provide that type of training as well. That's beyond the standard, you know, we're doing school and this is what we're doing in the classroom and all like that. We need to go deeper and be able to support in real time. That's examples of that. Any questions or comments on that? Lisa? Lisa, your hand is up. I'm not sure if it's still up from before.
Yeah, I think it might be.
And if it is, that's okay.
Still up from before. Sorry about that.
Okay. Linda, thoughts?
Hi, guys. So I worked as a paraeducator in special ed many years ago. And a lot of that training was not either in place or wasn't presented to me. The one thing that I think that we need to also look at with these special needs paraeducators is actually having some kind of background or a class or something to do with special needs kids, whether it is something put on by the district or a class that is offered in a college situation. But these adults are coming in and working with special needs kids, and I would say 95% of them, if not more, don't even have a special needs child. Doesn't necessarily need to be a qualification to be a paraeducator, but it sure does add a lot to being able to help our child if there is some kind of background, some kind of understanding, some kind of class, some kind of real world experience working with special needs kids. I think that might be something that would really benefit and be something that would help us feel more secure as parents, sending our kids out to work with these paraeducators and know that they have some of this understanding, they have some of this background. I talk with a couple of paraeducators at Juana Maria to get feedback to bring to you guys. And a lot of them are like, yeah, we had no training to begin with. And these are people that have been paraeducating now for a number of years. So as far as like hires that are already there, what are we doing to support them and answer their questions and their needs and to continue their education? To help them, you know, there are so many things that are going to change with special needs kids. You're going to have a kid that has a very unique need. Okay, well, what are we doing to support the paraeducator that's working with her or him?
I agree with you. I know this isn't what you're asking for, but I would not be able to promise that all of our paraprofessionals working with our students also have a child or family member with special needs. But what you are asking for is deepening the understanding and awareness of the broadly ranging unique needs of our kids. And I agree with you. When I talked about those trainings a moment ago, those are not just trainings for new onboarded paraprofessionals. Those are being made available to all. The 2 points to your point, or to what you said a moment ago, is that you had been a paraeducator and you talked with paraeducators that have been on the job for quite some time, and they have not been provided this training. And that is 100% true, because it's only been within the last 3 or 4 years that I've been able to work with the team that we've built in our program specialists and our behavior team and our BCBAs and things that we never had before, to develop these trainings and provide them. And Peter Gary, our lead BCBA, he's one dude running the land, trying to provide all this, and Nick is one person. So we're a small group trying to get it to a very large group. So because it hasn't happened yet, doesn't mean it's not coming, and we're not moving in that direction. Is what I'm trying to explain.
Is there any way to be able to inform the paraeducators of the online situations that are already put up, that you guys can say, hey, here's some online learning if you'd like to go ahead and, like, how do we get that information to them? How can we help you guys get that information out there?
Yeah, there's a way. Nick, how are we regularly communicate that, and we've been accessing the in-service days and things like that. The issue comes back to, like with the in-service days, the issue comes back to the way our folks are assigned and scheduled, and they're not always scheduled to work on that day. So we can't require folks to come, but we try to incentivize as much as we can by saying, hey, this is great. This is, good for you. It's good for us. It's good for everybody. It's good for families. It's good for kids. And if you're willing to come on your day off, we're going to pay you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So what we can do right now is incentivize. The other issue is, again, back to scheduling, is that, on a school day, a school week, we need our folks in class with our kids. Right. And the flexibility isn't yet built in to say, hey, come after school, or hey, come before school, or on a baking day or something like that. We have been able to access that through the mechanisms I talked about just a moment ago with, hey, we know you don't have to come, but if you want to come, not only am I going to pay you, but I'm going to bring food, and things like that. So it's kind of a grassroots effort right now that we're looking toward building a structure into that. It's just part of the system. Nick, anything to add on that?
Yeah, we also are starting to have more things as modules where people can access those. We're hoping soon we have another training coming out for everybody. Every paraeducator can access. We're in the works on that. That should be coming out soon. And like Marcus is saying, we'll incentivize them to go to those trainings. And it looks like we also have, there are some training classes that many of our paras go through, or adult ed offices. So we do that also. So we're continuing to build on it, but we do understand there's a need there, and we're working on it.
Yeah, the adult ed class is really great too. And maybe what we could have, maybe we could approach the teacher over there to come and talk about what goes on in that course to get some additional information, because that's something I'm really proud of, and I'm not taking credit for it. I didn't start it. It was she was already doing it, but it's really a cool thing. Lisa, new hand.
Yes, it's a new hand this time. I know this doesn't pertain to all of our kids, but for the kiddos that have paras, individual paras, and support services, i.e. OT or speech or things like that, I know sometimes that's been a time for the para to take a break or go ahead and do something else. And I think that could be helpful for them to sit in with those sessions, because those professionals could really have some good ideas that could help them. And in those sessions, kind of, while they're working with the student, kind of coach the paras on some of the things they're supposed to be doing with speech or with sensory needs or things like that. So them being present for those support services, I think, would be a great idea, basically.
Yeah, thanks for that. That is a good idea. Laura?
I was just curious, for the adult ed classes that you were talking about, do you guys pay the paras to go for that? It's like a paid training?
I don't believe so. That's a good question. I'm not sure. I don't think so, but I will find out about that. Unless, Nick, do you know anything about that? Okay, no, we'll get answers to that.
I kind of know the answer to that, because
yes, of course you would, Dora. Go ahead.
Well, no, the only reason I know is because they hold the classes here at EP Foster. So it's a class that they have to register through adult ed. So it's a class, they have to do the course, and they hold it here, so no, they don't get paid. They're like a student, but it does help for them to get that training, and they help them with the if they want to go on and apply with VUSD.
Right, and that's important. So I think that our active employees, our paraprofessionals, can take the class, but it's also structured to be kind of an ingress into, like, I hate using the word pipeline, but well, for lack of a better term, to, you know, an entry point to Ventura Unified. So folks that are coming that are interested in doing that, have very, you know, have passions in that area about, you know, service and wanting to help and want to be a part of it. That's the entry point, and they come, and it's an overview. It's a training on what, you know, what the job is like, some of the skills that are needed, talking about some of those educational requirements that we talked about before. And then, you know, a pretty significant percentage of our paraprofessional force is hired out as a result of that. That's not to say that you can't get hired if you don't take that class. And it's not to say that everyone who takes the class wants to come and work for us and things like that. But that's kind of how that progression is in place. Is that right, Dora?
Yeah, I know that the class does get full every time that Jackie does it. It is a free course, so they don't have to pay any fees to do it. And they get a certificate of completion.
How long is the course?
I want to say that it's like 4 weeks or 6 weeks. I think this is like a quick one because it's so late in the school year. I think this one is a condensed version, and they're meeting like twice a week. So and again, I only know because Jackie comes and does it here in one of our classrooms.
Yeah. And maybe we could waive the registration fee, or if they had to pay anything, maybe.
No, it's free. It's free. Okay. Yeah, but they do have to register under the Ventura Adult Ed for sure. But Jackie, Marcus, Jackie would know more information.
Oh yeah, that's who I was going to call after the meeting, and maybe see if she would even like to come and talk about it at our next meeting. Okay. Lisa hand, and then it disappeared. So if you'd like to say anything, feel free. Also, too, like I said, if I'm not getting to you, it's only because I can't see everybody, but that doesn't mean we don't want to hear from you. Okay. So next question I have here is, can the district provide updates on the learning recovery plan measures per quarter? And yes, now that things are starting to wind down, we can finally get to what we wanted to get to earlier in the year, is building what's called a Gantt chart, right? And that's what enables us to, it's kind of a linear timeline style of visualization that, you know, tracks our status on the learning recovery items, and, you know, what we're working on and how far along we are on it, and what's next and next and next. And so that can begin to, we can now get to that, put that together, and organize it over the summer, and we can start to report on that at each meeting beginning in the fall. And all I can do is say, sorry, it's taken so long on that, but that's kind of been the theme for this whole year. We were in our division meeting just earlier this week, lamenting it, how we didn't realize it in August, but how naive it turned out to be. Because when we met in August, we had this whole list of initiatives that we're going to get done and get moving and this whole thing, because, you know, COVID's over, we're back in school, everything's going to be great. And the year just did not shape up that way. And some of the things that, you know, I've been working with our CTE department, our career tech ed department, to, you know, dramatically enhance our ability to, for our students to access and benefit from our CTE offerings. And we were going to meet and do those trainings and things in October. And the way things kind of went this year, we're just getting to it now here in May. And it's a shame, but it's circumstances beyond our control. So that's just one example. And everybody in the division meeting was saying, yeah, you know, this happened to me and happened to me and happened to me. So, but anyway, we are going to be able to provide those updates in a more formal manner through that mechanism beginning in the fall. So we'll be able to talk about that more. Any questions on that? Okay. All right. And then along those lines, a committee member submitted a comment that we need updates on a basis of what 3 or 4 major district projects and benchmarks of how we are measuring progress. So we have focus areas in special education that we kind of touched on a few moments ago. One of which is our para systems. So we talked a lot about paraprofessionals right now, but one of the things that I've noticed over these 4 years and was in a position to actually do something about this year is that overall our paraprofessional systems with logistical distribution and assignment systems, monitoring, oversight, hiring practices, training practices, all those sorts of things are in need of attention. They really hadn't been addressed for a number of years, and it was only by virtue of circumstance that I was only able to start working on that this year. So what we did was we hired a consultant to come in and do a full audit, review, and deep look at the systems that are in place, and then make recommendations as to how to overhaul and enhance and update and improve for the coming years. So that is complete. A report is being submitted at this time, and then I will be taking those recommendations to our senior leadership, our superintendent and assistant superintendents in our HR department, and reviewing and prioritizing what immediate, those low-hanging fruit things, like what can we do today, and then the mid-range items, and then our longer-term projects in that respect. So that's one of our focus areas, and that's what we've worked on with that. Another focus area, as always, but is a high priority for me in special education, is student achievement. So where we've been focusing our efforts is building data systems, because it's kind of that, how do you know if you don't look kind of approach. If we don't know where we are, we don't know where we need to go. So the problem is that historically school districts have mostly been able to review and act on data regarding things that have already happened, right? The state monitors based on our reporting throughout the year and provides each district with what's called an APR, an annual performance review. And it's 17 indicators of success, I guess you'd say, and then how the districts rank in those areas. And that's fine, but we get that in the spring of this year based on what happened last year, and that's not very helpful. I mean, it's not helpful. It's kind of a broad level of, hey, this is about where things are and what you want to focus on, but it's never been fully sufficient to me, and because I prefer to be able to be proactive and act in real time rather than wait and go, okay, well, this is what happened. There's nothing we can do about that. We have to move forward. So we'll continue to use that stuff, but we've been working on building systems that allow us to dramatically increase our responsiveness in real time for our students by looking at quarterly and semester district-wide DNF data, right? So how are our kids doing? How are our kids doing today? How are they doing at the semester? And how are they doing at each quarter? And we're doing that in order to aggregate that data by student, by program, by school, so that we can triangulate and identify where concentration points are and provide interventions before it's too late. And those interventions range, right? They range from, reviewing, holding IEP meetings and looking what other supports need to be in place, to what, is there an attendance issue and how can we help on that? Just a couple of examples. And then also, that's great for secondary, but that doesn't help us in our elementary programs, because our elementary programs don't report grades the same way that the secondaries do. And so what we're working then through is to develop our CIRUS level data systems for goal progress monitoring that's reported at the trimester for each student, and to be able to provide a visualized reporting system to elementary sites so that we know same kind of structure and mechanism as the secondary, by student, by school, by program, and that sort of thing, but at the elementary level, so that we can again triangulate targets and provide interventions there. That's coming along nicely. it did not exist before we started working on it, and I thought it was going to take much longer than it has. It's not done yet, but we've made some significant progress with the Cyrus, what do you call them, engineers, computer people, to help us be able to do that, because it was not. At first, I thought it wasn't there, and then we found that it was there. It's just not intuitive and easy to access. So we're working on being able to do that. And what we would do with that then is do that at interval and provide it to our school sites and discuss how to use it, what to do with it, and what it all means, and continue to develop our data review and student support systems at the site level. And then also, as a part of our learning recovery plan that we touched on a moment ago, our goal is to continue to design professional developments for case management best practice, so that as an outcome of that new information that's coming at regular interval, our folks know what to do. They know they grab it and they know what to do, and what are the best practices, so that case managers can support students with a much higher level of effectiveness, and as well as providing those professional development types of trainings for gen ed teachers, counselors, and administrators to deepen their understanding of the special education practices and considerations, so that we can really truly begin to develop that stronger multi-tiered system of support. And you may, if you've been around, you've likely heard that term used back in 2018, 2019 in district discussions and things like that. And it's multi-tiered system of support, which means breaking down the silos. It's not compartmentalized anymore, that all kids are being supported by all educational partners across the board. And that's great words to say, but there's mechanical items that need to be in place so that people know the what and the how about that, not just the why. So that's an example of how we're trying to improve on that. And it's also our goal to bring on consultants for next year to assist us with continued program review and evaluation, to provide us with recommendations for enhancements, and to provide kind of ongoing support as we are able to implement those recommendations, similar to what we did this year with our paraprofessional systems. And then the last thing, I know I talked a lot, I thought about pausing there, but let me just, I'll talk to you really quick about our other focus area is always least restrictive environment. And so ongoing work to continue building capacity and strengthening our program offerings, and then working as a SELPA to monitor and assist with the development of Senate Bill 1113. And if you haven't heard about that, it's new and exciting. One of our senators is working to bring on this new evolution of educational practice. So the bill would require the CTC, which is the California Teaching Credentialing Commission, or the Commission on Teaching Credentialing, to revise the administrator credentialing systems to strengthen those credential holders' technical abilities in the area of providing expanded inclusive public school options, meaning that not just working at the teacher level at the individual classroom level, but our site and district educational leaders are thinking more broadly about whole school improvements in this area, and whole district improvements in this area, and whole statewide improvements in this area. And I bring that up because the work is starting at the state level. So if this bill is successful, what it would require then is for the CTC and the CDE to produce guidance materials, tangible resources, and trainings at the state level, leadership level, sorry, redundant, those would make their way down to the local level in support of the implementation of those initiatives. And so if that's successful, that work is going to begin on or before, or in or before the 2024. And we're doing a lot of work at our SELPA level in support of that, as that, with lobbying and working with the state SELPA to really try to make that reality. So we're gonna likely receive an update as to the status of that bill at the next CAC meeting, which we will then look to our CAC rep, Ms. Kim, to provide an update at our next SEDAC meeting next in May. So boy, that was a lot of talking on my part, and boy, that's a lot of information. So I'm gonna stop and let anybody kind of ask questions or weigh in if you'd like to on any of that information.
Thank you for all of the information, Marcus. My question is not necessarily about any of that information, but I know it's been a question that's been asked quite a few times. Do we have any information on ESY?
We don't yet. We have the communication on ESY and summer school offerings is imminent. It has been, as I said, a crazy year, and everybody's scrambling to get all that stuff done. And we had hoped to have, we as a district had hoped to have it out by this week, but it just didn't manifest. But it's literally coming at any moment.
Okay. I do keep hearing that we're going to have 8 weeks of summer school offering for all kids. The communication so far that maybe has been kind of pushed through on the inside is still only 4 weeks of ESY. So I don't know if that's like accurate or if maybe they're seeing something from last year. But I'm really hoping that if you guys are going to offer 8 weeks of general education summer school, then we're doing at least 6 weeks of ESY, knowing that the June Boost and August enrichment programs are not going to be accessible for all kids, despite best efforts. I think it's really easy for people not in special education to say like, oh yeah, anyone can come to June Boost without knowing our kids. So I don't know if it's just rumors, but I did want to put it out there that that's a really big concern. And just like last year, I hope that everybody kind of agrees, we would come down pretty strong that we would ask for at least 6 weeks of ESY if everyone else has access to 8 weeks of summer school.
Right. So all those things, as usual, are all, contingent on staffing availability and student interest availability, which I know the interest is there, and then the facilities and funding and all that stuff. And those are the mechanical things that are being worked through right now. But I can say that the ESY and summer school offerings will align, and the any of the enrichment options that are on either side, we will make available access and all that sort of thing to any student that wants to go. And just for just as a note, the summer school and ESY are not, what's the word? There's a phrase, mutually exclusive. I'm never sure if I'm using it right, but even if a student is eligible to go to ESY, they also can go to summer school, and supports can be provided to access that. It doesn't work the other direction because ESY, it's a special ed services, but I don't like people thinking that, well, I have to go to ESY, but I can't go to that thing I want to in summer school and things like that. So, but, again, more information coming really, really, really soon. And I know you've heard it a million times, but that's what I have to say.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, the issue with that is that our kids need their accommodations and even therapies to access education. And also our kids will not thrive in 3 different classrooms over an 8-week period when they take some time to get accustomed. So this is something I feel really strongly about, not only for my own child, but for, it's just like, to put it any other way, it's just like not fair to offer 8 weeks for the rest of the district, or maybe it's even 10 weeks of general education and 4 weeks of ESY. They say that the June Boost and August enrichment is accessible, and I appreciate that they try to make it accessible. But what is accessible? Like being able to sign up your kid and drop them off and have them have a bad day for 2 weeks and not have what they need to learn is not accessible. But I do, and I'll say this because I know that there are other parents listening, if it does come back that is the option, I ask that each one of us do sign up, because I think that that's what it will take. I hope that that's not the option. And if it is, then I will fight for that 6 weeks for us. But if we don't get it, we need to sign up and show like, no, we want to be there, and there needs to be special education options that cover the time that there are general education options. It's only fair, and it's also the law. So thank you for looking into that deeper.
Yes, and I can assure you that if a student wants to access any of the enrichment options or any of the summer school options outside of ESY, accommodations would be provided. And, let's say that in order to access, the student would need their para to go with them. That, if they have a paraprofessional on their IEP that they would be using to access ESY, that para would also be made available to access any of the enrichment options or the summer school options or any of those sorts of things. So access is not the question. And so it's just a matter of logistics at this point. Rachel?
Thank you. So this would probably come up during the PAC update, but at the PAC meeting earlier this month, we did get an update from Dr. Castro about the summer options. And so since we're talking about it, is it okay if I just provide that section of that update right now? Because I think, I don't know if we were given information slightly different from what you are discussing. Is that okay? Okay.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
So he's brought this up the last 2 monthly meetings. So this meeting was held on the 12th. So as of the 12th, we got kind of the same report. We're this close to releasing information, but basically the struggle was that they were assigning teachers to programs. But I've asked again at this meeting, and he would not report that there will be 6 weeks of ESY. He said they are still matching teachers. So that is their goal, but that legally they only have to do 4 weeks. And so that's all that they can commit to at this moment in time. And that the summer programs will be kind of mimicking what they did last year with some, that the June programs this year were primarily targeting high school students. So it's a little bit different than the June boost from last year. So they're trying to basically, their goal for those few weeks is to get students who are really close to graduating, to get them the last credits while they're still in like the window to be able to graduate. So that is a little bit different. July is when they are offering the ESY. Again, he did not say 6 weeks, could not commit to that. And then August is more of the, expanded learning opportunities program, similar to last year, depends on the staffing, depends on the programs that they contract with. They are a lot more social, emotional, academic layering this year. So there will be more support personnel. I believe the locations are all the same as last year. So ESY is at Elmhurst. Middle school is going to be Balboa and Data. All the high schools are open. And then all of the enrichment programs at the elementary level will be at Sheridan Way, Will Rogers, and Citrus Glen. So that was kind of the brief update. But again, he repeatedly will not confirm 6 weeks. So I think we're all just kind of going to have to wait. But I know, and I know Laura was there too, that was asked. But again, I think they know that it's important. I think we're just getting, at least on the parent front, it's all dependent on staffing. At least that's what we're consistently being told.
Right. And
and I just wanted to quickly add that they've hired about 300 people. So they are really trying, and they have had a good response. People do want to work this summer. So fingers crossed it all works out.
Right. Kim?
I just wanted to throw out there a question and kind of a query. What would it look like for somebody who doesn't feel like their child could do the extended program or the enrichment program, but would do better in the ESY program, but let's just say ESY decides they're only going to do 4 weeks, and you want your child to stay updated throughout the summer and attend both, okay? If you're not feeling confident about your child going to the enrichment program, might there be an option for, at least in that interim, to, I mean, you'd probably have to call a quick IEP on it, but to provide that child with a para, even if just for the enrichment program, if they are not already assigned their own para?
That would be a possibility. That's something that we can look at building in. I have to go back and see what the development has been on the staffing of the enrichment programs, because it's, you know, in collaboration with external agencies and things like that. But what we are doing for those enrichment programs is doing advanced training for the staff and support folks that are part of those in the area of special education, awareness, considerations, strategies, techniques, and that sort of thing. And then also working to, as needed, facilitate the availability of paraprofessionals and things like that. So with a specific individual consideration, that's kind of an individual conversation, but that's an example of the resources that we're pushing into the development of those structures.
Can I ask, because I don't know, what would it look like for a child who doesn't have their own individual para? What would it look like for somebody who would normally attend ESY, but attends one of the extended programs or enrichment programs? I mean, you said it's open to them. So what would that look like, I guess?
Well, broadly speaking, it would be the, you know, accommodations and supports and things like that. There will be adults, there will be additional adult personnel. And if it's a matter of, you know, the student doesn't necessarily have their own paraprofessional, but needs additional support in the enrichment program that they may be attending, we would make use of the additional adults that are already in place to also support those students. Okay.
I just thought that talking about that might be helpful. It's just being creative, thinking of different options. You know.
Appreciate that. Laura, is that a new hand?
Yes, I was just wondering if they did the not the ESY program, just the regular one, would they still be given transportation?
That's something that's part of that resources and staffing and all that stuff discussion. I don't know the answer to that right now. It's certainly something that's a consideration, because we can have all the greatest things in the world, but if people can't get there, what's the point? So I know it's being discussed, but I don't have an answer on that yet. Ashley?
I would encourage for these programs, if there are students in a mod severe setting that sign up that don't have their own paras, I know a lot of times it'll be written into an IEP that adult support will go with them when they go into inclusion. So that's like that's my son's situation. He doesn't have a one-on-one para, but he goes to inclusion every day, and a para goes with him, and the class is small enough and there's enough adults that's not troublesome for the classroom. So I don't know how you guys are assessing that in terms of like staffing needs. But really, I think looking a little deeper into the IEPs, if this is really going to be the only option, because if you have someone who's typically in a mod severe program and you put them into an enrichment program with 30 other kids, even if there is 2 pairs in that classroom, if they take one, then that's not going to do any of the other kids' due diligence. So I don't know if there's another way to measure how many paras would be needed than just if that box is marked on the IEP, but that would definitely be a concern.
Right. So I agree with you, and the way that would work is that as folks sign up for the enrichment programs and are, you know, placed or whatever, however that side of the house is doing it, we are then notified that kids kids with IEPs are going, and then we review the IEPs to ensure that supports are, you know, whatever necessary support resources are needed specifically to the individual student's profile and things like that are made available and provided. So I'm kind of saying what you're saying is that even though it might not say that in the IEP, that what do we need to provide the access to the program could result in additional supports and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, just so much anxieties all around. I think anytime a 2-week program, different school, different teachers, we're not looking, and I know that's ESY for a lot of students at a lot of schools. Like we've had ESY offsite, but it just takes more than 2 weeks for them typically to adapt to a new setting. So I hope that you are able to go to bat for us and figure out some way to make an extended ESY work out, because as much as I'm like, it would be great if an enrichment program worked out, I don't know. I just can't see it being a success truly for each child.
Thank you. Kim?
Hand down. I always forget to do that.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, no problem. I do that too.
But we're just having a discussion because it's kind of foreign to most of us. Are all our I know you said it earlier. I just want to confirm. You can't turn away any of our children from any of the enrichment or extended programs, correct? You would have to provide for them if we enrolled them, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm with you. I mean, for some of our kiddos, that's not the greatest option. On the other hand, it is an opportunity. Even if our kiddos do ESY, it's kind of an opportunity for us to explore that kind of getting out of our comfort zone and being included and having some transition experience. So I just wanted to put that out as like to the other moms. Like I look at it that way. Like, and if it's not working on day 3, then you're done. But it's kind of, I just wanted to make sure that everyone understood that they can sign their children up for those programs as well, because, I think sometimes we don't realize that.
Yeah. So, and that'll be part of the types of, the communications that come out is, how to sign up for those things. So if anyone's interested in doing that, those procedures are not exclusive to students without IEPs. They're for everyone. Laura?
I just had a thought, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think sometimes when a child starts out of school and needs like their own one-on-one para, the school has to kind of take that on in their personal budget, right? Sometimes. I don't know if I'm right about that. And if so, like how would the extra support, where would they get paid? Where would that come from if we all of a sudden needed all these paras for just the regular school program for summer?
So it depends on the paras you're talking about. If it's, for our purposes here, we're talking about special education paras. And so that's not correct that the school has to absorb it from their individual internal budget. There's a communication structure. And if, for instance, if a student joins the school and needs an immediate temporary paraprofessional, that's communicated to our office, and we put in what's, the requests for those sorts of things, and it's not paid for by the school, it's paid for out of special education. And so with respect to the summer offerings, if we needed a bunch of paras to cover the whatever, we would also be facilitating that and securing those people and providing the compensation. Kim, new hand. You're unmuted.
I thought I lowered my hand, but that's okay. I have a follow-up question.
Oh, okay.
I know all the information is not out yet for summer school, etc., but when and where will we be able to start planning for our summer?
Ask me that again. I'm not sure I follow.
Basically, when will these decisions have been made, and therefore we can look on a website and say these are the programs offered this summer, whether it be, the special ed summer school or the extracurricular enrichment.
So any day now, it's going to come out over the Parent Square, and it'll come out over email, and it'll come out over social media, and then be available on the website, which is, if you haven't been there, the long storied new website that Ventura Unified is going to have is up and running now, and it's developing rapidly. So take a look. But all of that stuff will be there. I unfortunately don't have an exact date, but I do know that it has to be very, very soon because people need time to plan.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Our last question that was submitted is one that I would very much like to discuss with you all. I'm trying to make sure we stay on top of the time, and we got enough. So the question is, can we restructure the SEDAC meetings to be more meaningful to parents? And I would very much like to elicit some feedback from you all as to how you, now having been a part of this for quite some time, how you envision that. I mean, does everyone feel that they need to be restructured? And then how does everyone envision that restructuring then looking? Any thoughts? Ashley?
I feel bad because this isn't my question, but I can start. I think starting with the site reports and I appreciate like the programs, and we talked about this a little bit last time. We've had some repetition on the programs, even when there hasn't necessarily been any change to the programs. And the answer was that, some parents tune in and watch it, and it's the first time that they're seeing it. But with video technology these days, it seems like these videos live somewhere probably, or maybe we can even just like chop out like those informational sections, and maybe they can live somewhere on the website so that the 2 hours a month that this group takes out of their time is not repeated information that's just kind of being recycled for the sake of using up the time. I think focusing more on like the Q&As like you just did, I think that's super helpful. Open conversations, site reports, what's really new in special education. I feel like the priority when we come here should be to address our concerns and celebrate our successes as a community, not just ours, but like at our sites and the peers that we have with us, and not so much on a hour-long or 45-minute long conversation about a program that maybe we have already seen. So that's what the feedback that I would give.
That's fair. I appreciate that. And I'd like to address that. I've heard that, there's exactly what you're saying. And I've heard that the learning and information sections of the presentations some folks feel that they are not as informative or meaningful, and people aren't finding value in them. And a lot of the intention behind that is to kind of showcase the progress that's being made by the district in this area. Prior to 4 years ago, there were no such thing as program specialists who were on the ground leading the development and capacity building of our programs. And so bringing them to showcase the work that's being done and things like that, we felt would be meaningful. Prior to four years ago and starting this, we did not have such things as lead psychologists or lead SLPs or lead BCBAs and a behavior team. And I mean, we didn't even have a SEDAC and things like that. So that's the intention behind that. It's not intended to just, burn the time or be redundant or anything like that. And so, I suppose that's a little bit of my bad teaching on my part, is not drawing the, explicit connections between why we're doing this and what it means and how it serves the mission of the SEDAC. But to your point, this is the 21st century. And if we can present some of those things, especially now with the new website, which is something that I had been wanting to do for 4 years, is that, our webpage should have rolling vignettes of, here's what's going on in the district. Here's a little quick 5-minute on our ASD program or our Monsevier program or what have you, and think, and resources like that. So that's something we can look at shifting going forward.
I would be willing to put in like pre-work as well. So like if there was a video or something you wanted us to read and then just come in and have a discussion on it, I think that would be better use of the time. And even having the specialist here, still it is valuable to be able to ask that person questions. Mm-hmm. But I would be willing to put in like 30 minutes of pre-work to make these meetings even more impactful.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea. Melissa?
I am going to totally piggyback on Ashley. I'm just thinking of it as like a product road mapping approach and how we do a lot of things at work. And that's like putting out that really thorough agenda and or maybe having what those goals that you're trying to accomplish are and where they are. And is there a quarterly progress update? And it's either green, yellow, or red. And you know, sometimes it is red because something else comes up in the priority list. And I think it's really like taking those 5 or 10 things that are the priorities and what progress is being made. And if that's available to us kind of in that pre-read notion, we come in better prepared. And I agree, I like having the outside voices as well, but then I come in better prepared with my questions, or I might have even gone back to the school and kind of done a little bit of probing. And I think that a lot of it is about that front loading piece for us. And then tracking progress, and which actually truly works to your advantage, because then you are really showing we did accomplish this, and this. So that's just my input. Thank you.
I appreciate that. And so am I to infer that red is bad?
Well, yes. I mean, you said,
you know, red could be like, we want to highlight this. Look how great
no,
it is.
green.
No, I'm joking. That's a joke.
No, but
I understand the color scheme. Yes.
Yeah, you just said it's measurements, metrics.
Yeah.
You know, it's often a little bit quantitative, but it could be qualitative. I mean, it's really what you determine to be success, maybe with this group. But I think that kind of structure might keep us just a little bit more focused and help us prepare. But thank you.
No, I appreciate that. Dora, then Rachel.
I agree with what they're saying. I do like when the speakers come and do their presentation. Like I really enjoyed the one from BC. I can't remember his name, but I learned a lot about like the future and yeah, you're right. I have seen a big difference now that I have like a freshman next year, because I'm right there in the same boat with you. It's freaking me out. I do see the difference in the communication, whether I'm happy with the communication or not, but you know, there is a big difference. And then as a parent, I see it in everyone is more helpful as far as what we feel like our child needs. And my friends from, you know, at Data also feel the same way. And as like an employee, I have seen the difference here at school. We don't have any special day classes, but we definitely have kiddos with IEP or maybe kiddos that are getting ready to be assessed. And my principal will send one of you a note, hey, we need something for this kiddo because he's having some behaviors that are kind of dangerous. And you do send somebody here and it's not, he doesn't have an IEP, but you send somebody to assist. So I do see that difference, that it's been a lot quicker from your part. So we do definitely appreciate it. So yeah. But yeah, I think I would be willing to do that pre-work that Ashley is saying as well, and kind of study up and learn more about everything to kind of be better prepared for when we have this time.
I appreciate that. Rachel?
Well, I just wanted to start by saying thank you for asking for this kind of input. I think it's a really good opportunity for the committee to grow. And I was not involved when it first started. This is my first year. And so I feel I do kind of want to echo what Ashley said. I have found the presentations really informative this year because there's a lot of things that I didn't know were out there that I would have loved to have known beforehand. That being said, I think I would get more value in the future because there's some parents here who are going to, you know, continue on or stay on the committee, and there might be new faces, is to have more of like those same presenters, but just providing updates and reminding, you know, doing more now that we have the website. You know, I have gone back to the website to look at a PowerPoint presentation that I wanted to share with someone else. It's really, really great to have those, you know, that a presenter, their PowerPoint. That was really great to have that as a resource. Now, I don't know that the other parents that have kids with IEPs in the special ed department even know that those resources are out there for them to look at, even if they can't attend the meetings. But I think that, you know, in the future, the committee might get more value in having those same presenters, but really just providing updates to their programs rather than a program overview. One thing that I've kind of thought all along, having been involved in a lot of committees for a long time, is the way that the agendas are structured. Very hard to have that follow-up. And I think Melissa was kind of trying to touch on this, that it would be nice to have like an unfinished business section where we're just getting updates on things that you're working on, where it's, you know, like the expanded learning opportunities. And like every month we get just the update where it's kind of highlighted, like, you know, this is what we've accomplished. This is what we're still working on. This is what we haven't even gotten to yet. Because for us, it's hard to kind of keep track of all of those things. And I have found myself going back, you know, several months and then realizing, hey, we never got an update on that thing that was mentioned several months ago. And so if it just stays on the agenda and we just constantly get an update, I think that helps us, you know, remember about these long-term goals. Like you brought up long-term goals today, and I was like, oh, like we haven't talked about that in how many months? I don't even remember. And I remember. So that, and I think it's also a really great way to highlight the successes. Like, hey, this is a goal. And maybe it's something that even started, you know, a year or 2 years before. We should still be bringing those up. Agreed. You know, like you and the district have made huge leaps and bounds in several years. And I think for someone who's new to this process, I'm not even aware of all of those successes. Like we should be reminding ourselves, like we've come really far. There's still these things that we're working on. And I think, you know, changing that structure to kind of highlight those things, because you do have new people all the time, is not really a bad idea as well, because I think sometimes we focus on all of the negatives and all of the problems and we forget like where we've come from. And so it's good to, you know, maybe at the end of the year, even like have, just like at the beginning of the year, we kind of brainstormed like, what are the things that you want to talk about this year? At the end of the year, it'd be nice to kind of circle back and say like, these are just the highlights of all of the things that we've been able to achieve. These are things we definitely need to carry over into the next school year. You know, I think that would be helpful. And then the last thing I wanted to mention is I think it would be really nice at the beginning of the school year to structure like that first meeting with some collaboration amongst the school, the site parents like us, as to how people have been successful in reaching out to the parents at their schools. Really struggled. I'm not at a school that has, you know, a program where there are a lot of special ed kids. So sometimes I feel like my job is just like reporting to the PTA and hoping that people attend or people read the minutes. And so maybe other parents have had better success stories of how they've interacted with other parents. I think that might be a good way to pass on like the more veteran members to the like new incoming members.
Yeah, a lot of what you're saying resonates with me. And I want to say too, that those founding members that are still on here, like Dora and Ashley and some other folks, and Kim, you were with us from the beginning too, I think. that it was never the intention or my intention for this committee to be where everybody comes and listens to my nasally drone about everything that's going on and that sort of thing. Now, I don't know, maybe whomever takes over for me may have a much more sonorous voice and everyone will love to listen to it, but that's not the intention of the this committee. What is the intention of the committee, if people would stop calling me? It had been the intention of the committee was to have it be parent committee site rep driven, where we have we have our committee and then we have an executive board of our parent reps and a chair of that of that executive board that then works alongside, kind of goes between that executive board, works alongside myself and the other leadership folks to design the agenda and lead the meetings and lead the discussions and things like that. And it's something that we just never got to by virtue of just circumstance. So even though I won't be with everybody, it would be something that I would like to see come to pass, because I think then having that structure within this structure will facilitate a lot of what everyone is describing as to what they want to, where they want to see this committee go. So ideally there will be overlap between whomever is coming on after me, and I'll be providing on a whole bunch of updates of the, must-dos, don't forget about, keep an eye on, and the things you want to achieve. And one of those things would be the future and evolution of our SEDAC committee with that in mind. But what that also it means is that, whomever of our committee members would like to be a part of that executive board, that's an additional meeting, and that's additional things to work on. So hopefully that's something that we can realize if it is in the interest of this committee at large. But I think that would do a lot for what you're talking about, Rachel and Ashley and all the other people that have provided input right now. So something to keep in mind. Nothing, it's more rhetorical than anything, but it's just an example of, as you said, Rachel, that you haven't been a part of it the whole time, so you're not aware of some of these things. But that was the original intention of this committee, not to have Nick or myself or the presenters be the only people talking. Kim?
Yeah. I just can you hear me?
Yep.
I just wanted to sort of follow up on some of the topics and you were talking, obviously, Marcus, you're going to be leaving and we're going to have a transition of new representation in the SEDAC, right? So we're going to readdress a lot of this stuff, and we're going to have probably a new, hopefully still progressive input from your department, right? And when you were talking about the intention of the original idea of SEDAC here, I would like to think it was also a progressive one, right? So when we're talking about maybe doing some homework before we have a meeting, I like to think that most of the people coming in as SEDAC reps are pretty savvy, and we're kind of well read up on a lot of the things that maybe are presented in the SEDAC meetings. So I was thinking maybe could some of those, like we were talking about, could some of those things be posted on a platform under special education, so that, because I know you want the general public to have this information as well, but in hopes that these meetings can be a little bit more communicative about where do we go from here and how do we progress from here, as opposed to being like discussing information that maybe most of us already are aware of. I did like that we started the year off discussing what we wanted to talk about for the whole year. And then maybe, I think in January, we discussed again, like, okay, what haven't we covered? What do we still want to cover? And as you know, the para thing hadn't been brought up yet. So we've been kind of trying to regroup on that subject. I think that's going to be a subject that we're going to want to start next year off on, because we're going to have, we're going to all be anticipating who is going to be taking over your position, and we are hoping you'll be progressive, right? And taking over the idea of what we've, all as one decided that we want for our kids. So that being said, I just think that I appreciate that we've been able to discuss the topics, decide the topics as a team from the beginning of the year, having an update somewhere along the way, quarterly, or whether it's halfway through the year. Somebody else mentioned having a grid, like where is the progress, that being a percentage of the meetings. So we're trying to make these meetings more efficient, basically, right?
Right.
So, yeah. So, okay. So I'm going to segue. That's all I had to say on that.
Okay.
I'm looking at my notes. So just that, yes, I appreciate that we've been able to discuss what we're going to talk about, what the topics should be. And then even in the middle of the year when we were all like, well, we haven't talked about this. And this was like the number one thing we wanted to talk about. Now we're really talking about it, right? And then we're probably going to have to start the year off really talking about it again, because in all transitions, things regress for a moment, right, before they move forward. And in keeping this SEDAC group progressive, I'm hoping, I like the idea of having a little homework and being prepared before we come in. That way, we're just like on top of it and we can move forward. We're making progress as opposed to maybe being sometimes redundant, even though we're not, I don't mean that offensively. We're sometimes redundant because we have a wide group of audience, right? So we don't know who's read up on what, but I think you can be comfortable knowing that your SEDAC reps are savvy and read up. So this discussion should be efficient. Does that make sense?
It does. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I agree. That's something that I agree with you on, and I kind of touched on before, is that, moving our SEDAC representation and our resources that are being made available to a more prominent area on our new webpage is going to go a long way, parent resources and things like that. And that's something that we're going to work on because we have far more control of our own webpage, department webpage, than we had in the past. So won't that be nice?
Yeah, so I mean, like the new parent, like the new beginner parent,
right,
can go on that website and say, okay, this is what I can expect from this program, or, my child has this disability, and so they can become well-read as well,
Right. The way I was kind of envisioning it when I was imagining it was, like this group would put together SEDAC 101 resources for new parents and things like that, and then have it, first stop on the website and things like that. So, that's things that we can work on together as a group.
And then I just want to follow up with one more thing on a different topic, which I didn't chime in earlier, but okay. with the para thing and the plan that you have for the future that will continue once you leave, that you've already put into place. And you and I have talked a little bit about this. I just wanted to put it out there that not only do I think that, well, I'm grateful, first of all. And second of all, once the district comes up with a communal interactive plan for paras and families, and you put that out to your campuses, I just want to say to the parents that I think too, like being a bit not aggressive in a negative way, but being proactive and going to your principal. The principal, in my opinion, once they have this new agenda, is the person who sets the tone for the campus, right? So this is going to be new for some campuses. Some campuses are already pretty comfortable in how they interact with paras and parents, right? Not every campus is the same. So I'm just putting it out there that going in and being a voice to your principal, that this is what I'm expecting, this is what I need, this is what I want, not in an aggressive way, but in a, it would be an efficient way to run your campus is for me to be involved. Everybody, would have a more peaceful understanding of what's going on. So I understand the district has a big role in that, the biggest role in it. But then as a parent, going to your principal and really sort of initiating, look, this is what I'm desiring. This is what would make me feel better. And I don't think that parents really realize that how effective that can be. And, not every principal is probably as receptive, but possibly after you implement this new sort of vision, they will be.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Kim. Thanks. Okay, so we do have a presenter, and I'm going to ask you all what you would like to do, because it is 10:35. Our presenter today is a person who leads our transition partnership program. Her name is Amy Cabral. She's on here. And the transition partnership program is kind of a first entry point for a lot of folks to services available after high school. And so those of you with kids going into high school are viscerally aware of what the planning that we need to start thinking about. Those of you with kiddos graduating from high school, viscerally aware of the need for this planning. But Crystal might be thinking, well, we're in preschool. We're not worried about this right now, but never too early to start. Those of you who went to the transition fair earlier this spring also came back with, kind of a reaffirmation or an affirmation of that notion that it's never too early to start. So my question to you all is, would we like to have Amy give us a quick overview of Department of Rehabilitation and the Transition Partnership Program, or would we like to ask Amy back for our final meeting next month? What are your thoughts? Group, committee, not Amy, not Amy. What are your thoughts? I'm asking the parents.
How much time does she need to feel like she has efficiently provided us with the information she came to disclose?
Amy?
What if I just give you a quick overview and some food for thought so that you can drum up some questions and for next time?
Does that sound reasonable to folks? Okay. All right. Well, with that, I will turn it over to you, Miss Amy, and I think you all will be very interested and impressed with what she has to offer at this point. Go ahead.
And Amy, if you need me to share anything, I have all your documents, but if not...
At this time, no. Let's just talk really a little bit. So I just want to share with you that first, thank you for inviting me, because next to talking about my grandkids, this is one of my favorite subjects. And as I look at you, some of you are just names, but I see, the schools that you're representing, and I'll get emotional right now. I see my daughter's face. I see my daughter's name as she was advocating for my grandson. So I have 11 grandkids. The oldest is 20 years old. And every step of the way, as soon as we conquered one obstacle, we always thought ahead to the next obstacles, as I'm sure you all are doing. So even though your child may be in elementary school or what have you, preschool, you still want to know what the rest looks like, right? What is it going to look like? And every step of the way, I'd sit with my daughter in those IEPs, and it always felt like it was her against the district. It's not so. We do need to advocate positively for our kids. And every step of the way, she'd say, well, what is, he was at county schools. What's the next step going to look like? All the way to when he was in elementary school and they were going to place him at data. Well, what's it going to look like in high school? Because I don't want him in county schools, high school. So, we have a wonderful high school program now. And I will brag that my youngest daughter, Felicia, was the first teacher in the moderate to severe program. So I am driven to help. the students. We are a contract with the Department of Rehabilitation, and we help the kids transition from high school to the world of work. And so some kids may be, only need a tiny little bit, and some need, much more. So we do
Amy,
have.
I'm going to interrupt for 1 second. The Department of Rehabilitation could very much use an exercise in rebranding. It's not clear as to what those words mean. Could you, because, just as words, they don't sound like what we're talking about. So could you give a quick overview of what they do and who they are?
So years ago, the name was created. I do not work directly for the Department of Rehabilitation. We have a counselor that works hand in hand with us. I'm in communication with her daily. Department of Rehab was started years ago and given that name, but currently what they do is they help and they fund our whole program, or most of our program, to give guidance to the students. So we provide the student services. So yes, a lot of times the students in our program say, I'm not, rehabilitating from drugs or anything. Why am I in Department of Rehab? It helps people as they are trying to get into work. So it could be, right now it's the youth that we help, 16 through 21, but also the students can segue into their adult population, where they can pay for and help give guidance for different trainings. If somebody needs visual aids for their job, if they need, in our program, if they need work clothing, or if they need, whatever it is to be successful at their job. Does that make sense? Okay, where was I? So, so we do help the kids from 16 through 21. If they need to remain a student to receive a lot of the services, but other services, once they graduate, some of the kids stay with us still. But we help them with interview skills and master applications, and we help them get reduced fare ID to ride the bus. We teach them how to ride the bus. Some of you may wonder, like, will my student ever get a driver's license? Well, we can teach them how to ride the bus and become independent. So that's not going to stop them from, getting jobs or what have you. But in a nutshell, do you have any questions? In a nutshell, that's what we do. There's 2 of us in this office next year, and we meet one-on-one with students. We that way their needs are addressed, and it's not like a group thing and maybe your student's going to get lost in the shuffle. We meet one-to-one with your students.
Right, and I'd like to add, just for our community out in the TV land, that the Department of Rehabilitation services are available to any student who's graduating and has ever had a disability or should become disabled later on in life, and that sort of thing. And their services range all the way from vocational development and preparation to provision of trade technical skills training or college support, all the way to job placement and job support and things like that. So it's not that a student must be involved with Amy Cabral in order to get to DOR to have these services, but what our TPP team is able to do is provide kind of advanced access, I suppose, in preparation and things like that. Is that an accurate portrayal, Amy?
Yes.
Okay, so back to my, nobody wants to hear from me right now. I'll turn it over to questions. Laura, go ahead.
I was just thinking about something that I was talking to my fiance about, and I know I might need to contact you, Amy, personally for this, but he's the secretary of the Tri-County Building Trades, and they run a pre-apprentice program for the SB1 program, and they teach all the trades, and he would really like to somehow become a part of what you do.
That's wonderful, because I have reached out to them for information. One of the obstacles is the algebra test. That has scared some of our kids. We have students that are graduating right now from Ventura High School that are wanting to get into trades. So we have explored that avenue, but I would love a direct contact with your fiance.
Absolutely. And it'd be great to have a conversation about what specifically, is needed with respect to that algebra piece. Because when I worked in Los Angeles, I worked directly with the pipe fitters union out there, and they did the exact same thing with us. And it was algebra again. And the union leader out there was, if you just get in these basic skills, I'll take it from there. I'll teach them the rest of the stuff. And it's really, really great. And I'm so excited to hear that, because it's something that I've been looking for in Ventura as well. Yes. So let us keep that conversation going.
I have all the links. I will send them out.
Thank you.
Okay, perfectly. All right, perfect. Thank you. Linda?
Hi. So, Amy, I'm not sure if you remember me, but your daughter Melissa and I went to elementary school together.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I wanted to say, I think it's awesome that you're doing all of this. And if I can be of any help, I run the baseball program over at Montalvo. Oh. I am the assistant to the AYSO soccer program. And I also just started an adult junior special needs bowling program. So I'm more on the sports end of things. I'm more on that end of things. But if there's anything that I can do to help with that too, I am trying to work with Tri-Counties to become a vendor through them. We all know that Tri-Counties sent us all out these wonderful papers that say, hey, we're going to pay for certain aspects of your kids' programs and stuff like that. And then there's nothing in place. So thanks Tri-Counties, but there's nothing in place, and that is not their issue. It's above them. But that is something that's in the works. So I'm hopeful that I can get on board with you at some point and see how I can be of help on the sports end of things.
Right. Maybe we can help each other. So another part of our program is that we have paid internships. So the district takes on all liability. The kids become employees of the district, and they work at various places. Finding mentors for them to teach them how to work is quite an obstacle with, companies that have, higher ups that they need to get permission from. But maybe you need a paid worker to help you there.
I would love to talk to you.
Venues.
And that's really fun. Now, that's something that Amy and I worked to convert the program to the paid internships when I came to Ventura, because, what that adds is that, the kids have to apply, and then they have to make an appointment and go over and sit down with HR and, interview and get processed. And so there's a lot of skills just embedded in that alone. And then it's fun for it's fun for me to sign their timesheets every month, and it's fun for them to get, checks from the district that look just like Amy's, and then just look just like mine, and just look like Nick's. I mean, and so it's really great. If you're in the market for something like that, Linda, that'd be fabulous.
The other thing, my husband and I own our own business, and there are certain aspects of our business, like tearing down boxes, I don't enjoy. But something like that, I can just get my information. I know Diana has it. You can reach out to her and get my email address.
Perfect.
I would love to be able to talk to you more about that. That would be great.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Melissa, then Dora.
Sure, I'll make it quick, but I noticed yesterday we're part of the Autism and Communication Center at Cal Lutheran University, and they're offering a free college skills program. They've got 2 different items with it. One's like exploring your options about going to college, which I actually think, at least our experience was wonderful with our working with our special ed teacher and the whole IEP process. But the other part is Intro to College Life, and that's what we're looking to enroll in that, like helping them navigate some of those spaces better. And it looks like it's a little bit intensive, but I just throw it out there as a different type of idea for workshops because I think a lot of our kids are going to go to college, and that's pretty exciting, but navigating something in a less structured world might be a little challenging. So if you want to follow up, I can send you the link to it, but you can go search the Autism and Communication Center at CalU. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Dora?
I don't really have a question, but more like excited to learn more about the program and how you help, kiddos that may not be able to sit in an interview because either they're nonverbal or they have like stimming, stimming behaviors or anything like that. That we don't have to go into detail now, and if it's a separate conversation, but I'm really excited to know that it starts at 16 and not at 21, because those are just questions that I have going, into having a freshman next year. So it's really, really exciting that we have something like this available. So I look forward to hearing more about it in the future, for sure.
Definitely. I think, Amy, if you do, we'll work on it if there's calendaring issues, but if we could come back next time and kind of go into how the process works kind of from start to finish so that folks feel fully informed next time, I think that'd be fantastic.
Absolutely. I just am happy that people, know that TPP is out there, and don't forget about it, and advocate for your student to get involved with us. We're passionate about what we do. So
definitely, they're small but astonishing, that team. I'll tell you that right now. All right, everybody. We kind of did district updates. I don't know if anybody wants to give a quick success or feedback from sites. Our CAC rep is going to update next time because the meeting hasn't happened yet. Rachel, where'd you go? Any additional things from PAC? And we don't, unfortunately, have Sabrina with us today, so we don't have board updates. So anybody want to hop on any of those real quick?
Let me see if there's anything else from PAC that was really like applicable. Nothing that was really like that applicable, because they did announce the hiring of the new deputy director. And they talked about like various positions that were open because there's a lot of like principal, assistant principal, positions at the district level. Oh, I'm sorry that my camera is off here. And one more thing. The website was a big talking point, so those have all been launched now. I think that's it. I don't know. Laura, did you have anything else? No? Okay. That's all.
All right. Anybody know of anything upcoming in the community, any community events or anything like that they'd like to share?
Yes.
Go ahead, Linda.
My mom is the junior league director over at Buena Lanes, and I approached her and I'm like, hey, so our kids have stuff during the spring and during the winter, but they don't have anything during the summer. So I said, how about if we start an adult junior special needs program? And so that's what we did. So we're going to be starting on June 21st. It's an 8-week league, 2 games for $90. That pays for the entire 8-week session for both the adult and the junior. We're not really putting any kind of age restrictions on for the quote unquote junior, because we know that there's not a whole lot out there for people with special needs that are outside of that typical age range that we work with. But yeah, we're gonna be doing that, and that includes shoes, the bowling ball. We're putting together packets of information so that everybody can read up on how the program works, how bowling works, because we know not everybody is bowled. So yeah, if you guys have questions about it, please feel free to reach out to me. We are trying to get a number to the house so that we can get the amount of lanes that we need put aside. But yeah, that's what we're doing. So just something else to add on to my plate.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Anybody else for anything going on out there in the world? Okay. Oh, Rachel.
Oh, yeah. I was just going to say, well, tonight at Will Rogers is Dia del Niño. If anyone wants to come to the carnival, starts at 5. It should be fun. They're doing it really differently this year. So that's just like a school site thing. And then prior to our next meeting, starting on May 15th is Tourette Awareness Month. It goes from May 15th to June 15th. So it's not a full month to highlight how the Tourette syndrome doesn't like to follow the rules. So instead of having it a calendar month, it goes May 15th to June 15th. So I know we're wrapping up Autism Awareness Month, so I just wanted to throw out another disability to be aware of. Thanks.
Appreciate that. Ashley?
Yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about a past event. I went to Ventura Education Partnership's launch event, and I wanted to give a huge congratulations to Erin Bearer, I think is her last name, at Balboa. She's a Mod Severe teacher, and she wrote a grant for physical education equipment for Ventura Education Partnership. She got the grant, and like there was not really a dry eye in the room during her talk when she talked about her experience implementing the new equipment and how they were able to get these kids into inclusion settings. And it made me, the things that I'm hearing coming out of actually both Data and Balboa are making me a little bit less nervous about middle school in a couple of years, just connecting with these amazing teachers and these amazing programs. But I definitely wanted to give her a big shout out and congratulations. And also from Elmhurst, Ava Sherry, who's she's general ed, she's inclusion. She also spoke about the bird watching program, which I happen to know that she's very eager always to bring in the special education classes. And I was just really proud of VUSD to see their talks that night. So thank you, Erin.
Thanks for that. Yeah, we're really excited for Erin too. Kim, go
Ashley,
ahead.
who was the first person you were saying wrote the grant?
So Ventura Education Partnership gives $1,000 grants to teachers. Yeah. And so Erin Bearer wrote this grant, and my friend Madhu Bajaj. You guys might know her. She's really involved with education. She wrote to me about a year ago probably and just said, we don't get any grants from special education. And I said, oh, really? So I posted it in the special education support group in Ventura Facebook page. And she's like, oh my God, we got so many grants. Like your people all went out and told their teachers. And I was actually a grant reader, and like 50% of the grants came from special education. And we were able to award a lot of them. So that's a big tribute to this group and to special education parents for taking this to their teachers and saying, you can do this, which of course made me especially proud to be there at the launch event and see how those funds were used. But yeah, if you guys don't know about Ventura Education Partnership, check it out and tell your teachers about it, because they can get some really cool stuff funded, and it's really open arms to special education to apply. It's highly encouraged.
Definitely. We push it as well. And even, it goes beyond our teachers as well. Our occupational therapists and the whole range of our group have been awarded grants for various things. And it's just really a great opportunity. We appreciate that. All right. Well, we've come to the end of our agenda. We have not received any public comment, so we'll move beyond that. We've announced everything I believe that we have to announce for today. So I want to thank you all, and I want to apologize for being away for so long, but it's very nice to be able to be back to meet with, see you all again. And so on behalf of myself and Nick Blahos and Amy Cabral and Diana Montez and the entirety of the Ventura Unified School District community, wishing you a happy weekend, and let's keep the conversation going, everybody. Take care. Nice to see you.